Beyond, what's up? My name is Colin Moriarty. I'm editor of IGN PlayStation. I'm here with the illustrious Greg Miller. He's the executive editor of IGN PlayStation. My boss and your boss too, Greg.
That's right, I'm your boss, internet.
Greg, on a personal note, how you doing? Are you punching that cancer in his mouth?
Trying my best. Got chemo number 2 today. I'm pretty excited because I got the PlayStation Vita. I got a hot game on it I can't talk about. Ready to play some.
Good, good. Greg, so we get a lot of mail. We get a lot of mail, but we don't get a lot of mail via postal service.
Just snail mail?
Yeah, but we do.
Why would someone snail mail when they could write into Beyond at IGN.com and be part of the #1 PlayStation podcast on the internet, Podcast Beyond, every Tuesday?
That's a really good question, Greg.
I don't know.
But here's the question from Jeremiah Harris. He writes, it says, "Dear IGN, my name is Jeremiah Harris, and I'm one of the current Vita owners." He says I'm one of the current.
There's not many.
There's
we have half of the Vitas in the wild right here.
They're right here. It's been months since the Vita came out, and its game lineup has been pretty weak. So I have one question to ask. He says, what games from the franchises, I assume he means what franchises, do you want to see on Sony's latest handheld?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a really good question. Now, obviously, the Vita doesn't have many games. We have some games on the horizon that we're pretty excited about, obviously.
Yeah. They had a lot of games at launch. They kind of blew their load in the front, and now we've been slowly getting little trinkles of loads, I guess.
Yeah, you get the load here and the load there, for instance.
A lot of raw dumps.
Yeah, you gotta have the raw dump. So Greg, you and I talked before this. We each picked out 4 franchises. So let's go back and forth.
Okay.
Why don't you start first? And let's start with third-party franchises.
Third-party franchises. I think that Dead Space would be great on the PlayStation Vita. I love Dead Space 2, of course, right, Reddit. And it's one of those things they've taken and done Dead Space on the iOS devices. They've done it as downloadable games. EA always talks about taking the Dead Space franchise and making it on different platforms. Vita would be great for it. Give me some survival horror on the go.
Yeah, or just give me a survival horror game like the original Dead Space.
Sure. How about that?
So for me, Greg, the first franchise that comes to mind, third party, is Castlevania.
Okay.
Now we had a great Castlevania game on PSP, of course, and Symphony of the Night, of course, is one of the great PSP games of all time, or PlayStation games of all time on the PS1. And then we had a bunch of great DS games, and I envision the Metroidvania-style Castlevania game as what we need on Vita. I think that'd be really fun.
That'd be awesome.
I keep saying that should be an annualized thing like Madden that should come out every year, gloss over the story, make a new map, a new castle, whatever. I think that'd be really exciting.
Totally.
So give me some Castlevania, Konami.
There you go. My next one would be Valkyria Chronicles. I know a lot of people cried foul when Valkyria Chronicles went from PS3 to PSP. Over in Japan, they got a Valkyria Chronicles 3 on PSP. Let's up-res that to HD, get some trophies in it, put it on the PlayStation Vita, give it to us there. Valkyria Chronicles 2 was such a great game. It spoke so well to being on the go. I would love that in HD with trophies.
I agree. Sega's obviously in trouble, so we don't know what's happening with them. Now, we talked about this on Podcast Beyond. I bring it up maybe once, twice a month on Podcast Beyond for the last many years. Final Fantasy Tactics. I think that's what we need on the Vita. The PSP version, War of the Lions, the retranslated version that was pretty true to the original PS1 game, was so good. One of the best PSP games, and certainly, beautiful, in my opinion, the best turn-based strategy game I've ever played. Tactics Ogre, of course, being very close.
Tactics Ogre.
Let us cling together.
Wheel of Fortune.
That's my favorite one, is Tactics Ogre, Wheel of Fortune. Pat Sajak is a hidden character. So that's my other third party, I think, of Final Fantasy Tactics. We just need, I'll play Final Fantasy Tactics anywhere they put it. So give it to me.
All right, if we're jumping to first party stuff on the Vita, a clear one that we desperately need, Infamous. You know what? Sucker Punch has been quiet. We think they're working on something next gen, maybe a console-based game, but there's so many other developers. Give someone the Infamous franchise and let them tell a story of a conduit in the Beast's wake. The Beast came through on his way down for Infamous 2, gave superpowers to a city. Let's see that conduit. Let's play as that person on the go.
That'd be exciting. Maybe Sony Bend would be a good studio for that. They take other studios' projects and give them great care. For me, this is kind of a shout out to Sony Liverpool, which just unfortunately closed the third first party studio that's in Sony's roster that closed this year. It's very sad. But one of the games they used to do on PS1 was called Colony Wars, and I've always been really surprised that hasn't been revived. I think a nice throwback. It's a space shooter. I think a nice throwback to what that studio has done in the PS1 era would be a nice new Colony Wars game. All right, let's do it.
My final pick here, my final first-party pick is a no-brainer. I have to imagine it's in the works. Hopefully we see it at TGS. Patapon. We need a Patapon. Patapon, the series was so great on the PSP. The Vita would be so perfect for it. Patapon 3 really found its groove by giving these superheroes, making the whole experience online where I could go on and off, I could play wherever my character carried over. I want that on the Vita. I want it with 3G. I want trophies. Give me a Patapon.
I think you're going to get a Patapon. That's my theory.
Right.
And I also think you're going to get one of these games because it's been rumored to maybe be in development or at least being thought about. Gran Turismo.
Oh yeah.
We need a Gran Turismo game on PS Vita. Now, I'm not a huge racing fan at all. In fact, I don't. But Gran Turismo is a mover of hardware.
Sure.
Right? And if you look at the hardware sales for PS1, PS2, and PS3, what's the best-selling exclusive game on those consoles? Gran Turismo. So I think that we need a new Gran Turismo game on the PS Vita.
And we need it quickly.
Yeah.
Let's not announce it and then wait 4 years to put it out.
Well, we're talking about Polyphony Digital here, so they're going to take some time.
All right.
And I'm sure that, well, we already know they're working on Gran Turismo 6, basically, so maybe they're doing both projects.
Yeah, maybe.
Greg, that's all I have.
No, that's all I have too.
Good.
Beyond.
Good. Beyond.